Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Jonathan Cohn, and today I have my review of the book The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. It is one of the is a Hunger Games prequel novel. I read the Hunger Games trilogy last fall. I read the books The Hunger Games, Catching Fire, and Mockingjay. I thought that the first book, Hunger Games, was really well done, an excellently produced book. Not a favorite book of mine, but an excellently produced book. I thought some of the political themes in Catching Fire were just wonderful, and I thought as a pacing, it had the best pacing of any of the books. And then I had Mockingjay, which I was super frustrated with because I felt like the author had the best ideas of the series in here, but wanted to make sure she hit the exact number of words and the exact number of pages that the other books had, and so she rushed things a bit and really should have made this another 100 and 150 pages to make it longer and to make it work better. And so I didn't love this book as much as the other two. I thought it was okay, but I like the movies better, actually, because they take their time where the book doesn't. And so I read that trilogy last year, and so I've been thinking about reading The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. And back in, it was either late December or early January so it was either late December 2022 or early January 2023 that I went to Barnes & Noble, and I happened to see they had a 50% off hardcover sale. And so I saw The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes and was like, you know what, I'm going to read this eventually. Well, it's just been sitting on my shelves for the last 9 or 10 months, and I finally decided, you know what, darn it, I'm going to read that book, and I'm going to see what it's about. And this book is the longest book in the series. It's about 520 pages long, but it is probably my favorite book of the series. I loved reading this book, particularly the opening sequences. The first section and the second section of this book I thought were superb, phenomenal stuff. I didn't love the third act of the book. I thought that the third act was disappointing. And it's one of those things where it's technically a well-done third act, but I was so frustrated because I wanted something else to happen. This book follows the character of Coriolanus Snow, and I hope I'm saying the name right because I didn't listen to the audiobooks, or at least I did for the first book, but I don't remember how you pronounce his name, but I think it's Coriolanus. But anyway, Snow. You're following the character of Snow, whereas he is an old president in the Hunger Games trilogy. Here, he is a young teenage boy, maybe 17 or 18, and he is a student who is assigned to work on the Hunger Games to try to come up with ideas to make it better, and he's also a mentor, which means that he is helping out the students, or helping out mentoring the new Hunger Games people involved. And so throughout the book, he's giving ideas, and you're seeing the way the Hunger Games change, how they were at their inception, because this is in the 10th year of the Hunger Games, and you see how the changes start to happen that happened by the time we get to the later parts of the Hunger Games. And those were really fascinating. You see specific ways that things that happen in the trilogy, how they formed. Where did the song The Hanging Tree come from? You get the answer, kind of, in this book. Where did the idea of betting on the Hunger Games come from? You get that idea in this book. We get a little bit more context of what the war was like and things. But I think, to me, what really sells this book is the way that it tells a Hunger Games story from a new perspective. The whole original Hunger Games trilogy tells the Hunger Games story from the underdog perspective, from someone in the districts, from someone from the districts, but from District 12, from the weakest, poorest, grimiest district. So you're seeing the real underdog going up against the enemies. In this prequel book, however, Snow is from the capital, and he's not having the best life right now because of some financial situations, but he's still from the capital, and so you see an almost inverted look at what the Hunger Games are like, but this time you're seeing it from the government's perspective. You're seeing it from the wealthy perspective, from the oppressor perspective, as opposed to the oppressed perspective. And that is just a fascinating idea because not many books purposefully try to do that. Usually books try to show it from the oppressed perspective and show them rising up. But this book makes the case, not the case, but it makes a point of showing you why the people in charge make these decisions that they do, why they decide, let's go ahead and have the Hunger Games, let's go ahead and treat these people poorly, let's not treat them as the same class citizens as us. And that whole idea that is explored, particularly in the first two parts, but it's also actually, if I'm being honest, it's explored in the third part as well, is fantastically done. There's also another character that's introduced. One of the people who joins the Hunger Games, her name is Lucy Gray Baird, or just Lucy Gray, and she is the girl from District 12, and her mentor is Coriolanus Snow, and you see their dynamic unfold, and she is just a very interesting character. She's a little bit like Katniss, but she's not quite as fierce. She's not quite as hard-edged as Katniss. She has a more soft, sweet side that Katniss just doesn't have in the Hunger Games series, and so she's an interesting protagonist, but you're really seeing the book, even though she's a main character, you're seeing it from Snow's perspective as he's interacting with her, as he's trying to protect her in the Hunger Games and stuff, and train her and prepare her for it. So I thought that this book was just geniusly done. If you know the Hunger Games story, you know Snow being the villain of the trilogy, and you know Snow being the president and stuff, you kind of have to know where he has to end up in the book. And so the author presents an opportunity for Snow to make a decision about his life. And as I was reading the book, I wanted him to make the right decision. I wanted him to do the right thing. And I'm purposely being vague on what that right thing is because I don't want to spoil things, but he had an opportunity to do the right thing. And in many ways, he chooses to do the wrong thing, which sets him down this path. And I was very frustrated because I would prefer to read a book where my protagonist makes the right decisions, especially towards the end, and this book just does not feature that. And he makes a couple of right decisions, but overall, he makes the wrong decisions. And if I had been in charge of writing the book, I would have still made it from the capital perspective, still made it everything else the same. I just would have made it an original character so that you could have them make the right decision. Have someone from the capital make the decision to do the right thing. Something that we didn't necessarily get to see in the trilogy much. But instead, because this is from Snow's perspective, you know he has to be the bad guy by the end because he has to be on the path towards being President Snow in the trilogy. So I was a little disappointed in that, but it's still one of those things where I can disagree on what I could say I would have done this differently and still say what we got was still superbly done. So I thought that this was a phenomenally produced book. It reads very fast. I think the action is great. This is the longest book in the series. It's almost 130, 140 pages longer than the other books, so it actually feels like it has a lot more meat to it. And as such, it doesn't feel like it needs sequels. It doesn't need to be a trilogy in and of its own. This is a full-length prequel novel. And I would personally love to see every couple of years Suzanne Collins do another Hunger Games novel somewhere in the timeline, and you get to see the Hunger Games as they change, and you get to see different characters. Maybe I'd personally love to see a Hunger Games prequel that has what's his name? The mentor character for Katniss. I'd love to see what it was like when he was in the Hunger Games for the 50th anniversary of the Hunger Games. That would just be, to me, a very unique and interesting idea. But I don't know if everyone else would go for that. And the movie comes... by the way, part of the reason I finally got off my laurels and said, yes, I'm going to read the book, is because the movie's coming out. And I just saw the trailer again when I went to go see a movie recently, and I thought that is a delightful trailer. And it looks like it's going to be really interesting to watch. I don't know if it's going to be a favorite movie of the year for me, but it looks really interesting. And I think that the book here is just very well done. So those are my thoughts on The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, a phenomenally well done prequel book in my opinion. Still had some problems, but overall loved it. Let me know your thoughts on the book in the comments section down below. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. And until next time, I'm Jonathan, and thank you for watching.